21st Century Entrepreneurship with Martin Piskarik.
My name is Dr. Julie Wilson. I'm a Canadian family physician and owner of the largest primary care health group in British Columbia, Canada. In a healthcare system under strain, burnout is often treated as inevitable, but we disagree at our clinics. So this episode is about what happens when you intentionally build a workplace that supports the people that are doing the work, which is why we won Best Place to Work in Healthcare in Canada 2024 and 2025. Terra Nova was able to expand incredibly quickly after the pandemic, and we did that while maintaining our culture, in fact, by growing it. We worked by making the culture our selling point because burnout is the norm in healthcare. And we realized that if we could sell a workplace that did not include burnout, in fact, worked very hard to prevent burnout, then we could rapidly grow. So our culture is the cause of our growth. Burnout became a real issue in medicine around the pandemic. We always talked about burnout previously, but not in those words. We would say things like work-life balance or quality of life, but the phrase and the concept of burnout really built up during the pandemic. As you can imagine, we had a lot of extra work to do. We had a smaller workplace force. The hospitals were overrun. Patients were afraid to go to the hospital. So in terms of me being an outpatient family doctor, how did that affect me during the pandemic? My patients did not want to go to the hospital. We were supposed to do telemedicine, but I didn't want to only do telemedicine, which is something I'd never done before. I wanted to be open in person to take care of them. Staff members at front desk were not paid enough to be working in pandemic level conditions, which is why most of the clinics closed. So the amount of work per the number of workers that were still working became completely disproportionate. So anxiety, lack of sleep, working faster and harder for longer hours, always every day making a bad decision. Do I do more work faster to get more stuff done? Or do I slow down and do a better job, but then turn people away? So during this time, many healthcare workers, front desk to janitors to the doctors, felt that they could not go on. And that's when I really built my business, because I saw that I could offer something that no one else would offer. I would offer a way out of this burnout situation. So I spent a lot of time and energy crafting a workplace that would do that. So there are certain things that make people burnt out. Lack of flexibility. Your doctor does not need to work 9 to 5. They can work any hours they want. Autonomy. People feel burnt out when they have to do things they don't want to do, when they don't want to do it. So as long as we can keep things medically legally safe and to treat each other well, I try to allow people to do what they want. And the other thing is clinic culture, which sounds kind of vague, but if you go into an office and people are frowning and yelling and upset, people don't want to help out even for small things, you will feel an increase in burnout. So we have strong rules about that sort of thing. We have to treat each other well. We cannot create drama. We have to give people the benefit of the doubt. We have to work on things. Starting with that alone, we were able to expand rapidly when the workplace was shrinking. And that's how we won Best Leadership in the City as a business. And then from there, we won the next year Best Workplace in the City. Now, I think Best Leadership, Best Workplace, are those different things? They're the same thing. They're the same thing. And from there, we won more and more awards. We now have over 250,000 patients in our roster. And we're able to take care of a significant proportion of this province by telling people they actually have to work less. They should take more vacation. They should cover each other. They should make things work for their colleagues. A lot of business people will tell me that this is not economically sound, that telling people to take more time off would reduce the amount of money they make. But in my mind, if you get people to feel happy and be rested, They do better work and they step in when they would otherwise be too tired to do so. So our doctors, not that it's all about billings for us, bill more for less hours because they feel good every day. We use AI extensively and any technology that is legally available. A simple thing that we started with was using AI to manage faxes. We get thousands of faxes per day, and it's mind-numbing work to take those faxes and put them into people's charts. And it's hard to retain good staff if you give them mind-numbing work. So we try and get rid of work that doesn't give a sensation of purpose or motivation or is below someone's skill level, because that causes them to feel unhappy as well. We added AI as well for clinicians, starting with AI scribes, so that you don't have to spend hours at the end of every day documenting. And of course, the notes actually get longer and better and mention more things. About 60% of our doctors do it. Some doctors still like to have the control over their own notes, but of those that use it, they love it. It saves them hours per week. We have other AI tools like ability to search through charts. You can imagine if you're trying to find something in someone's chart and you have to read hundreds of pages to find a single detail about when they had a test done or not, how time consuming that can be, but also how frustrating it can be when you're already short on time. So having something that actually makes a chart searchable, I mean, it seems ridiculous that we don't already have this, but it's a new thing that we can add. A lot of people online are very excited about clinical decision-making tools, which help the doctor decide things. It's not as important at this stage. It's a nice thing, but things that I see doctors very excited about are AI tools that fill out forms for you. That's what everyone's excited about. Looking at AI receptionists, because as you know, everybody calls the clinic the moment it opens at 9 a.m. No amount of people can answer 100 simultaneous phone calls. And then people feel frustrated they can't get through to the doctor. So if we had some directing of that, so we're working on those things. And of course, I mean, there are probably about 10 or 12 other AI tools that we add, but they're quite small, just making sure that prescriptions are done on time, making sure that patients are recalled and they come in time, things that help us book more efficiently to make sure that nobody is overbooked or underbooked, making sure that things get password protected before you send them out and are compliant. So between all of these tools, we're actually finding that our electronic medical system is bombarded with all of these plugins, and it's actually starting to slow down. So there's a lot of companies now coming out where they can have all-in-one solutions, and we're looking at that. And that's something that our company always looks at doing, because adding more technology to reduce the human burden is something that prevents burnout and makes people happier. And even though it seems like more expensive on the accounting side at first, saves so much time that I believe it's much cheaper. One thing that we've also done is promote team-based care. Team-based care means not just your family doctor or doctor doing all the work, maybe a front desk secretary, and then that's it. One of the things that I mentioned previously about reducing burnout is that people do things at their skill level so that they don't feel like they're doing work that they perceive to be boring or annoying. So with team-based care, we can have people who are specialized in different things. In our clinic where I work, we have a dietitian, an occupational therapist, a physiotherapist, a chronic disease nurse, a counselor, and more. And with a social worker, which is so helpful for forms and other things. But when we have these people, we can give people work that they like and that they're good at and that they're specialized at, and keep the medicine for the doctors, keep the parts of medicine that are appropriate for a dietitian for the dietitian, and for the chronic disease nurse for the chronic disease nurse. And then when you work all together, you're able, through that specialization, to use your time more optimally and keep people happier. It's also helpful because when you are trying to do time management, which is quite difficult, we all know, you wait for the doctor and the doctor might rush you and you don't feel good, they don't feel good. It's because when you come in, they don't know what you're coming in for and how long it might take to explain something to you. But if they can do something that is more finite, like diagnosis and management, they tell you. Now for the dietary review, the diabetic foot exam, they can send you for another appointment with someone who can do that. That gets rid of a lot of the extra work that they might need to do unexpectedly in that visit, and then stay on time, and that keeps them happier as well. It keeps you happier, keeps the front desk happier, keeps the patient, which we can think of as a client, happier as well. So team-based care has all of those roles. From a business perspective as well, you don't want all your eggs in one basket. So if you only have one type of doctor, I can't imagine that people won't need family doctors anymore. But in a circumstance when demand goes up or down for whatever reason, it's nice to have different income streams in your business, and in our case would be a clinic, so that you can capture different markets. Essentially, it's strange for me to use these words for healthcare, but it's essentially what it is. So we also now are working with some things that in Canada we have full public healthcare, but some things are private. Like we're working with a group that does laser therapy for recurrent cold sores. That's not covered under the medical system, but of course is medicine. The natural place for people to go would be a family medicine office. So we're able to do things like subleasing, working together, and adding more of these resources for our patients and for our business. One of the things that I do is I spend a lot of time and effort bringing in international medical professionals. Canada was quite famous until recently for not accepting foreign education, even from other countries that you would think they would want to, like the US, the UK, Germany, just not accept it. Now that they're starting to open up in this post-pandemic environment, it's a struggle to bring people in because there's no system to do so and people are not used to it. So I jumped right into that role. I saw that that was an open market that people were not utilizing. And for me, it gives me a lot of pleasure and passion to bring new healthcare providers to help society. But it also helps me expand and grow the business because we're able to bring people into our clinics and then get more clinic space and get more people. It's unpaid labor to do mentorship, right? You bring someone, you teach them. It's not direct, like you see a patient and then you get paid, right? But as we bring people in, they develop their own careers, and then you work with them collaboratively to grow our business, to add more clinic space, to pay the staff better and add more benefits. And then they can have an income as well. So it's mutually beneficial. And it takes a little bit of extra work at the beginning that is new and I have to learn how to do. And I have learned how to do and continue learning as people come from more and more different countries. But it's something that I'm very passionate about. And we have another 110 doctors coming internationally in the next 8 months to join us. And I'm hoping to get that number to 200, 300, 400 so we can fix the healthcare system in this province. I would love for people to be able to, I hate this word doctor shopping, but finding out if a doctor doesn't work for you, being able to find another one because there's an excess of us, that is the point I would like to get to in our healthcare system. My business allows me to also have a lot of social responsibility. I do things that don't necessarily bring in money, in fact, actually lose money, like having full vaccines for the pediatric patients within our clinic. We also do walk-ins for women's health, like pap smears and HPV testings, because if people aren't comfortable, for example, with their male physician or a walk-in clinic, they may not get it done. So that cancer screening gets missed because it's quite a sensitive exam. So we do all of that. We are the only place in the city that opens up for BC Cancer to send people, and we take patients who've even had precancerous lesions so that we can make sure that they're actively followed up on. We also work with the community to see what it is they're looking for. So I talk to the cities all the time and say, okay, do you need for this community or this type of patient? Currently, I'm working on adding more transgender care to one of our clinics. And the reason is, as much as a lot of doctors support transgender care, if you've never done it before, it's quite difficult to do, and a lot of us were never trained. So just putting experts in place who can do that to allow people to have an expert help them is something that I like to do. So whatever the project is, if somebody has a drive or a passion, for example, they want to do more women's health, they want to do transgender care, they want to do pediatric vaccines, they want to work with an HIV population, the homeless population, we've had all of this, and I set it up for them. Because my idea is that if they are doing what they like and they feel happy and full of purpose, then that is where our success mutually comes from. In 5 years, where I see my company going is where we have done so much work in this province that we're able to move into other provinces to do similar work. I see that we will be able to show that you can build healthy and kind workplaces, but also be successful as a business. And by doing that, we're going to be able to change the face of healthcare across this country. When doctors, nurses, front desk staff, everybody feels respected and feels happy and feels that they have the flexibility and autonomy in their workplace, we'll actually be able to provide so much better healthcare to the patients and to the society at whole, that I think, maybe this is being a little bit grandiose, we'll become so much more than a company. We're a company, we are saving lives, we are changing the way that people think about the workforce, change the culture of the hospitals, of the government systems, and actually build something that would fit the modern era, not the healthcare system that was built decades ago that for some reason we're still stuck in. If you want to find out more, check us out at www.terranovamedical.ca or find me on LinkedIn, Dr. Julie Wilson.
21st Century Entrepreneurship with Martin Piskarik.
Imagine a space where triumphs, trials, and tales of entrepreneurship come alive. Welcome to the 21st Century Entrepreneurship Podcast, a gold awarded journey hosted by Martin Piskarik, connecting with listeners in 95 countries and ranking in the top 0.5% of all podcasts. Join our exclusive community, elevate your perspective, and embark on the path to success.